this story. First thing we want to just paint the picture for people. You were how old and Adrian was how old? Tell us what the age difference was.
He was 14 and I was around 35, 36. But my son had actually said he was 17, or told my mother he was 17. So.
You're going to get so many people watching our program today who will be intrigued. Many people will be shocked, and a lot of people will be repulsed. And the fact that eventually you had to go to prison for this relationship that you had, and I know there's more to that which we'll talk about. But in theory, you are a sex offender, and many people would class you as a paedophile. Is that something that you identify with? Is that something you accept? Or what would you say in your defense?
Well, first of all, a pedophile is someone who's attracted to someone who hasn't even reached puberty yet, and that is the wrong term. And second, I mean, I'm no longer a sex offender. It was under the First Offenders Act, and it's like it got squashed and never happened. So that was so long ago now in that regard, and I've moved on. So it doesn't even... That's not a part of my life now or who I am. I mean,
okay, but the thing is, Lisa, it did happen. It did happen. No matter what the records say now, it did happen. You know what happened. Right. I know what happened. He knows it happened. Why did it happen?
When you have two people who have very low self-esteem, a lot of issues they haven't dealt with, who come together, and plus I was drinking a lot back then. And my dad just died, going through a bad divorce, of being cheated on a lot, and it was just a lot of issues that he was just there, and he was very persistent, and it just happened. It just, it was crazy. It was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Wrong place, wrong time, something I deeply regret.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a moment. But there will be people who say, obviously you were having a very difficult time in your life, but however persistent he may have been, there will be people that say, but you were the adult, he was the minor, you should have shown more restraint, you should have said no. Why did you go ahead with that and ignore all that advice? And I know there were people telling you that this was a dangerous kind of area you were getting into.
Well, yes, absolutely. I was the adult at the time, although legal age was 16 in Georgia, and, he was pretending to be 17. So at that time, when it was first developing, that wasn't the top of the issue. So it just, there's a saying, a drunk will talk to anyone who will listen, and I was coming in drunk just about every night, and he would wait up and call me and talk to me, and or I would talk to him and he would listen to anything and everything I had to say. I'd cry to him about, all my issues with my, grieving over my father and my ex.
And Lisa, could I ask you, did you love him? Did you fall in love, the two of you?
Eventually, because when I first met him, I didn't even like him. I wasn't attracted to him. Out of all their friends, he was like my least favorite. I did not understand why they even wanted him around. So,
yeah. Well, you fell pregnant, and under an old Georgia law, if a woman at that particular time, if a woman is pregnant, she can marry the father of the baby no matter what his age. Now, that law has since been changed. So then back in 2005, Adrian skipped a day off school and you guys married in secret, and you did all that. However, you were then arrested. Tell us what happened then.
I actually knew I was going to be arrested. The system let me marry him. They worked with me to get his birth certificate, through his mother, and they held off for over a month to make arrangements. And they said, if you marry him, we won't press charges, and because they didn't want all this to happen like it did.
But you had to serve 2 years in jail for that. Now you get out, you get back together again, you have another child. Where is the relationship at now? Explain that to people.
We are currently separated, and I actually served 9 months 4.5 months for that, but I served 2 years for mailing a cell phone to him, which was irrelevant from that case. But we are currently separated, and we have another child together that we are trying to, just get along and co-parent her, because in her eyes we're everything, and we're just trying to be normal parents as much as we can.
We said at the beginning here that Adrian was a friend of your son's. So how did he take this? How did the rest of your family take this, that you were seeing a 14-year-old boy married a 15-year-old boy?
Actually, my family was very supportive. So, at the very beginning, my kids were like, they didn't appreciate it, but he actually was sitting with me in the beginning, thinking he was 17. He would go with me to sit with my elderly grandmother. She was in her 90s, and he really wooed in my entire family. They all thought he was wonderful. And and then my family, I have a strong Christian background, and so my mother was more like, we don't care how old he is, you better marry him, because we don't have children out of wedlock. And so when I became pregnant, that was the family's standpoint. They just really pushed me to marry him. They liked him.
To anyone who may find themselves in this situation with a huge age gap with someone who, if not exactly underage, is not far from it, what would you say to them? Just final words, Lisa. What would you say?
Get help first. Seek why you are doing what you're doing. That's when I laid in those prison cells, I thought, how did I get from point A to point B? If you are considering a relationship like this, you need to find out what's really going on with you and deal with it, because it's not the ideal relationship. Relationships don't last usually anyway, but you can't expect something like this to last, and that's what I did. I dealt with my issues. I've sought so much help and treatment over the years, and anyone going through it, I just look at them and I'm like, you need to find out what's really going on.
Well, Lisa, as you said, you got that help, and now it's all about your child and making sure the two of you support her. So thank you very much for talking to us today.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa.